Welcome to Stories Junction. Let's begin today's story. Jared Holt wasn't one to pry. In 8 years of marriage, he'd never once checked his wife's phone or questioned her late nights. But the stillness in their Miami hotel suite was louder than the ocean waves outside. Lila, his wife, had begged off their evening plans, citing a migraine, while Jared joined a sunset yacht tour the resort had organized. When he returned early, her phone lay abandoned on the dresser, its screen glowing with a notification that stopped him cold. A single message preview that unraveled everything. Got the suite next door as you wanted. I'm off the pills. Told Jared I'm not feeling well, so we've got 2 weeks to make it happen. A red heart emoji punctuated the text. Jared's pulse thundered. He hadn't opened the phone yet, hadn't seen the full conversation. But those words were enough. Enough to know this trip to Miami wasn't about rekindling their spark, as Lila had claimed. It was a setup, a betrayal cloaked in sunsets and cocktails. He didn't touch her phone, didn't call her out. Instead, he slipped into the bathroom, locked the door, and sat on the cool marble floor, forcing air into his lungs. She's not just cheating. She's planning to pin someone else's child on me. He pulled out his own phone, hands steady despite the storm in his chest, and snapped a photo of her screen. The sender was Evan M., a name Lila had once mentioned as a colleague from her marketing firm. Jared had met him once, polished, too charming, with a smile that never reached his eyes. This wasn't just an affair. This was a calculated strike. Over the next hour, while Lila slept in the next room, Jared worked fast. He accessed her phone. Her passcode was still their anniversary, and screenshot the entire thread. Pages of texts, hotel bookings, even a photo of Evan smirking in a bar. Lila's messages were brazen. Jared's so clueless, still paying for my yoga classes. Told him I'm bloated from sushi, but it's just the pills wearing off. Another text burned into his memory. Once the kid's here, I'll say it's a miracle. He's so desperate for a family, he'll buy it. You'll be the cool uncle, winking emoji. Jared's jaw clenched. That night, he played along. He let Lila lean in him at dinner, let her laugh too loudly at his jokes, let her sip her mojito while lying through her perfect smile. But inside, he wasn't crumbling. He was plotting. By dawn, Jared wasn't a heartbroken husband. He was a man with a mission. Back in their sleek Orlando home, they were the couple everyone admired. Jared ran a small graphic design studio, working remotely with clients across the country. Lila managed social media for a high-end fitness brand, always polished, always on. Their modern townhouse, with its glass walls and curated art, was the envy of their friends. Their families thought they were on the cusp of starting a family. Only Jared knew the truth now. He watched her closely, cataloging details, the way she lingered on her phone, the new perfume she wore when she left for work drinks, the faint smudge of different cologne when she returned. He started keeping a log, not just in his head, but in a locked app on his phone. Her gym schedule, her late meetings, the way she'd hum happily after sneaking texts in the bathroom. He wasn't just gathering evidence. He was crafting a strategy, one that would hit harder than any argument could. Jared had loved Lila fiercely once. She'd been his college love, the girl who'd steal his flannel shirts and make him playlists for late-night drives. She used to curl up against him during storms, whispering about their future. But that Lila was gone. Her touch was mechanical now, her compliments rehearsed. Her laughter had a sharp edge, like she was performing for an audience of one. He thought it was stress, maybe her job's pressure. Now he knew it was deceit. Still, he played the part. He made her smoothies in the morning, booked a spa day for their anniversary, and smiled when she said she was too tired for intimacy. He let her think her lies were airtight, because Jared's revenge wasn't going to be loud or messy. It was going to be surgical. The first device went in on a Tuesday. A tiny audio recorder, no larger than a dime, tucked into a keychain he gave her as a just-because gift. Lila smirked, called it tacky but sweet, and hooked it on her gym bag. She didn't know it was live, capturing every word. The second device went under the kitchen island, where she took her late-night calls. A third was hidden in the lining of her designer tote, the one she carried to every client meeting. Each night, Jared listened in the garage, earbuds in, under the hum of his toolbox. The recordings were damning. He's got no idea. Bought me a necklace last week. It's almost sad how hard he tries. Evan's voice was smug, oily. By next summer, we'll be in Bali, and he'll be changing diapers for my kid. Lila's laugh sliced through Jared. He's so desperate to be enough. It's like he's begging to be played. Jared saved every file, labeled by date, and stored them on an encrypted drive. Not so easy anymore, he thought, pausing the audio. The game had just begun. Lila started dropping hints about a baby around week 5. She'd rest her hand on Jared's arm, eyes misty, and say, "I think we're finally ready, don't you? You've been so good to me." Her voice was soft, practiced, but Jared's stomach churned. He nodded, kissed her forehead, and said, "Yeah, maybe." Inside, he was boiling. That same night, she left her phone on the kitchen counter, unlocked. A rare slip. Jared opened her fertility app. The data confirmed she was ovulating, her peak days highlighted in pink. He snapped a screenshot. Then, in her notes app, he found a chilling entry. Told Jared, "I'm feeling off. He won't push for sex. Evan's coming by after 11. She was tracking her cycle, orchestrating lies, and setting Jared up as the oblivious father-to-be. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a script, and he was the unwitting lead. Jared didn't confront her. Instead, he ordered a prenatal paternity test kit and hid it in a locked drawer. He started cross-referencing her texts with her calendar, client dinners that lined up with motel check-ins, team happy hours that matched Evan's car pulling into a nearby lot. He had 23 hours of audio now, whispers, laughter, plans. One recording burned deepest. Lila's voice, low and smug. "I told him we'd name the kid after his dad. He ate it up. Thinks it's his idea." Evan chuckled. "By the time he figures it out, we'll have the house, the savings, everything." Jared's hand shook as he saved the file. He wasn't just building a case anymore. He was arming himself for war. He reached out to an old friend, Caleb, a private investigator who'd pivoted to digital forensics. Over coffee, Jared kept it vague but clear. "Need help gathering something airtight." No questions asked. Caleb raised an eyebrow, but nodded. "Give me 72 hours. By Friday, Caleb had delivered a tiny camera disguised as a smoke detector, installed in their living room, and a tracker for Lila's car. Jared didn't feel like a spy. He felt like a man reclaiming his life. That night, Lila announced she'd be working late. Jared smiled, said, "Take your time," and watched the tracker app. Her car didn't go to her office. It stopped at a boutique hotel 12 miles away, parked for exactly 87 minutes, then swung by a taco truck before coming home. She walked in with a paper bag, claiming she'd grabbed dinner with coworkers. Jared noted the time, 10:43 p.m. The recordings grew darker. "He's so predictable," Lila said one night, her voice muffled through the handbag mic. "I cried about wanting a family, and he practically begged forgiveness for not trying sooner." Evan's laugh was sharp. "Keep him on the hook. Once the kid's born, he'll sign anything." Jared paused the audio, his jaw tight. He wasn't just collecting evidence now. He was studying their playbook, learning how far they'd go. He started cross-checking bank statements, finding charges for lingerie, wine, and spa days she claimed were gifts from her company. Each lie was another brick in the wall he was building, one that would trap her when the time came. By week 8, Jared had a vault of evidence. 27 hours of audio, 300 screenshots, a folder of receipts, and GPS logs showing Lila's car at Evan's apartment on nights she claimed to be at yoga. He even found an email draft she hadn't sent, outlining how she'd break the news to Jared about the pregnancy, complete with fake tears and a story about a surprise blessing. But Jared wasn't waiting for her performance. He met with a divorce lawyer, Vanessa Reed, who scanned his files and whistled low. "This isn't just infidelity. It's fraud, premeditated and documented. We're not just filing for divorce. We're going for annihilation." Jared didn't smile. He didn't want revenge for the sake of pain. He wanted truth, cold and undeniable, to strip Lila of her lies. The trap tightened. Jared kept up the act, breakfast in bed, a new bracelet just because, even a weekend getaway he suggested to reconnect. Lila played along, her smiles brighter, her affection louder, as if she could drown out her guilt with charm. But Jared saw through it. Every hug felt like a transaction, every kiss a diversion. He let her think she was winning, let her believe he was still the devoted husband, blind to her game. Meanwhile, Caleb was finalizing the last piece. A hidden camera in their bedroom, wired into a wall outlet, motion-activated and silent. Jared didn't want intimate footage, just words, confessions, proof. He knew Lila's arrogance would be her undoing. She thought she was untouchable. She was wrong. The setup was complete, and Jared was ready to spring the trap. On a Thursday, he told Lila he'd be at a design conference in Tampa, a 4-hour drive from Orlando. She nodded, her eyes flickering with something, excitement, maybe relief. "Don't work too hard," she said, kissing his cheek. Jared packed a bag, left the house, and checked into a hotel 20 minutes away. He wasn't in Tampa. He was watching. At 9:17 p.m., the tracker pinged. Evan's car rolled into their driveway. At 9:20, the side door clicked open. Lila always left it unlocked for him. By 9:45, the bedroom camera, disguised as a wall outlet, captured their voices. No explicit footage, just damning words. "You sure he's gone?" Evan asked, his tone lazy, confident. Lila laughed. "Jared's too busy playing the perfect husband. He's probably sketching logos in a hotel bar right now." They joked about the nursery they'd never build, the trust fund they'd drain, the life they'd live once Jared was locked in. The camera caught every syllable, every smug chuckle. Jared watched the feed on his laptop, his face blank, but his mind racing. This was the final piece. He saved the footage to a cloud drive, backed it up on a hidden USB, and sent a copy to Vanessa, his lawyer, with the subject line, "Checkmate." The next morning, Lila texted him, all sweetness. "Miss you at the conference. Can't wait to plan our future." Jared didn't respond. Instead, he bought a pregnancy test, identical to the one Lila kept under the bathroom sink. Late that night, while she slept, he swapped it with a blank one he'd tampered with. No result, just a prop. He knew she'd try to fake a positive soon. She'd been dropping hints about feeling different all week, laying the groundwork for her lie. Jared wasn't going to let her control the narrative. By Monday, Lila was in full performance mode. She emerged from the bathroom, clutching the test stick, eyes wide with stage joy. "Jared, I think I'm pregnant." Her voice trembled, but her smile was too perfect, too rehearsed. Jared played along, raising an eyebrow. "Really? That's wow." He hugged her, his grip loose, his voice calm. "Let's make sure, okay? We'll get a doctor's test." Her smile faltered for a split second, but she recovered, nodding. "Of course, babe." Inside, Jared knew the truth. The test was a dud as planned. She wasn't pregnant. She was banking on him believing she was. He didn't celebrate, didn't call anyone. He just watched her, letting her think she'd hooked him. That afternoon, Jared met Vanessa again. She reviewed the footage, the audio, the screenshots, and the fake test plan. "This is ironclad," she said, leaning back. "She's not just cheating, she's committing fraud. We've got her on intent, execution, everything." Jared nodded, his face unreadable. "I don't want to fight. I want it clean, public, and final." Vanessa grinned. "Oh, it'll be final. We're filing tomorrow. Infidelity, fraud, and emotional distress. She won't see it coming." Jared spent the evening organizing his evidence. 32 hours of audio, 400 texts, hotel receipts, GPS logs, and now the bedroom footage. Every piece was time-stamped, notarized, and backed up. He wasn't just preparing for divorce. He was preparing for annihilation. Lila's world started to crack that same week. She worked as the social media director for Pulse Fit, a trendy athleisure brand obsessed with its wholesome image. Jared knew the CEO, Rachel Kwan, from a branding project he'd done for her 2 years ago. He didn't call her. Instead, he sent an email, neutral and professional. "Thought you should see this before it goes public." Attached were select audio clips, texts, and the hotel bill showing Lila and Evan together on a work trip. No accusations, just facts. By noon the next day, Lila got a call from HR. She came home pale, her voice tight. "They're reviewing my contract for a potential ethics violation. Can you believe this?" Jared shrugged, his tone even. "Sounds rough. You okay?" She nodded, but her hands shook as she poured wine. She didn't suspect him. Not yet. That night, Lila tried to play the victim. She curled up next to Jared on the couch, her head on his shoulder. "I'm so stressed," she whispered. "Work's a mess, and now this baby. I just want us to be okay." Jared patted her hand, his mind elsewhere. "We'll figure out," he said, his voice a perfect mask. He knew she was testing him, gauging how much he believed. He gave her nothing but calm, letting her sink deeper into her own lies. The recordings kept coming. One night, Evan's voice crackled through the keychain mic. "If he buys the pregnancy, we're set. You'll get the house, I'll get you, and he'll get a kid to raise." Lila giggled. He's already planning a baby shower in his head. It's pathetic. Jared saved the file, labeled it nail in the coffin, and waited for the perfect moment to strike. The moment arrived on a Friday, disguised as a quiet family dinner. Jared invited Lila's parents, Susan and Greg, to their Orlando townhouse. Lila, oblivious to the storm brewing, wore a soft lavender dress, her hair swept up, playing the part of the glowing, expectant mother. She set the table with their best plates, laughed at her dad's old stories, and subtly pressed a hand to her stomach, hinting at the miracle to come. Jared watched her performance, his face neutral, his heart steady. Halfway through the meal, as Susan passed the roasted vegetables, Jared slid an envelope across the table. "What's this?" Greg asked, his fork pausing midair. Jared looked at Lila, his voice calm. "Why don't you open it?" Lila's smile twitched. She reached for the envelope, her fingers hesitating before pulling out the first document. A hotel receipt for two, her name and Evan's, dated during a work conference in Miami. Her eyes widened, but she forced a laugh. This is a mistake. It's just a mix-up." Susan frowned, grabbing the next page. A printed transcript of Lila's voice from the bedroom recording. "Jared's so desperate for a kid, he'll believe anything. Once the baby's born, we're set." Greg's face hardened. "Lila, what the hell is this?" She stammered, her voice cracking. "It's not. It's taken out of context." Jared opened a small box on the table, revealing the blank pregnancy test he'd planted. "I swapped it," he said, his tone even. "There's no baby. Just a plan to trick me into raising someone else's child." Susan gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Greg pushed back his chair, glaring at his daughter. "Explain." "Now." Lila's face crumpled, but no words came. Jared stood, his voice steady but cold. "She's been lying for months, planning with Evan to pass off his kid as mine, to take the house, the savings, everything." He handed Greg a USB drive. "It's all here, texts, recordings, proof." Susan's eyes filled with tears as she read another line from the transcript. "He's so easy to play. I'll cry, and he'll eat it up." Greg slammed the paper down. "You did this to him?" "To us." Lila sobbed, reaching for her mother's hand, but Susan pulled away. "Don't," she whispered. Jared left the room, letting the silence choke her. That night, Lila tried to rewrite the story. She came to him in a silk robe, tears streaming, clutching at memories. "Remember our first trip to Savannah? How we danced in that little jazz bar? We can fix this, Jared. I love you." He looked at her unmoved. "You don't love me. You love what I gave you. A life, a name, a safety net." Her sobs grew louder, but Jared stepped back. "This isn't a love story, Lila. It's a con, and you're the one who wrote it." By Monday, the fallout spread. A local blog, Legal Insider, posted a vague story. Orlando marketing exec caught in divorce scandal, alleged pregnancy fraud. It didn't name Lila, but her colleagues connected the dots. PulseFit's board called an emergency meeting. By Tuesday, Lila was fired for breach of ethical conduct. She came home raging, accusing Jared of leaking the story. He didn't deny it, just shrugged. Truth has a way of getting out. She tried to sue him for illegal surveillance, but Vanessa, his lawyer, was ready. Florida's consent laws were clear. Jared owned the house. The cameras were disclosed, and Lila had no expectation of privacy in shared spaces. The judge tossed the case in 15 minutes. Lila left the courthouse disheveled, dodging reporters shouting, "Is it true you faked a pregnancy to scam your husband?" She didn't answer, just hurried to her car, head down. Evan vanished. He blocked Lila's number, scrubbed his social media, and transferred to his company's San Francisco office, citing personal reasons. Jared heard through a mutual contact that Evan had left her to face the wreckage alone. Lila moved into her sister's one-bedroom condo in Tampa. No job, no car, no allies. Her Instagram, once a curated shrine to her perfect life, went dark. She tried rebranding as a wellness consultant, but the internet was merciless. A former intern at PulseFit posted on X, "My old boss, who screamed at me for missing a hashtag, got fired for trying to trick her husband with a fake baby. Karma's a beast." The post got 300,000 likes. Lila called Jared that night, her voice small. "Please, tell them it's not true. I've lost everything." He read the message, then set his phone down. Silence was his answer. Jared moved on, not with fanfare, but with quiet resolve. He left the Orlando townhouse, its glass walls too full of ghosts, and settled into a cozy loft in downtown St. Petersburg. The space was all exposed brick, warm wood, and sunlight streaming through tall windows. He filled it with vinyl records, a small herb garden, and sketches of buildings he'd design one day. He didn't post about his victory online, didn't gloat to friends. Instead, he rebuilt. He took up pottery, the clay grounding him as he shaped it. He volunteered, designing community centers for low-income neighborhoods. The betrayal left a scar. He'd tense at the sight of a couple laughing too perfectly in a cafe, but he was done letting it define him. Therapy helped. His counselor, Maria, asked pointed questions. Are you protecting yourself or punishing yourself by staying guarded? Slowly, Jared learned to breathe without suspicion. Then came Elise. She wasn't polished or performative, just a botanist who worked at a nearby nursery, her hands often smudged with soil. They met when Jared dropped a potted fern at her shop, and she laughed, saying, "Some plants break so they can grow stronger." Her words hit like a truth he'd forgotten. They started small, shared coffees, walks along the pier, debates about jazz versus classical. Elise didn't pry about his past, didn't need his story to love him. She just listened, her quiet presence a balm. One night, as they sat on his balcony watching the sunset, Jared wrote in his journal, "Maybe love doesn't shout. Maybe it's soft, like someone knowing your coffee order without asking." A year after the divorce, a final twist arrived. Evan filed a lawsuit from San Francisco, claiming Jared's malicious surveillance had ruined his career and caused emotional distress. It was a desperate move, a last grasp at control. Jared didn't flinch. That night, Elise found him staring at the legal notice. "You okay?" she asked, her voice gentle. For the first time, Jared told someone everything. The texts, the fake pregnancy, the cameras, the dinner that broke Lila's facade. Elise listened, her hand resting on his. When he finished, she said, "You didn't ruin them. You just held up a mirror." Her words cracked something open in him, not anger but release. She saw him, not as a victim or a vigilante, but as a man who'd fought to reclaim his truth. In court, Evan's case collapsed. Vanessa presented the full arsenal: audio, texts, hotel records, GPS logs, and Lila's own letter admitting her scheme. The judge dismissed the suit in under 20 minutes, fining Evan's lawyer for wasting the court's time. Jared didn't look at Evan as he left, his face pinched and defeated. It wasn't triumph Jared felt, it was closure. 2 years to the day after that first text message, Jared stood on a quiet beach in Clearwater with Elise. The waves lapped gently, and the air smelled of salt and possibility. He turned to her. No ring, no grand gesture, just words. "I don't believe in perfect endings," he said, "but I believe in us." She smiled, her eyes steady. "Good, because I'm not going anywhere." It didn't need a script, just a yes. Lila faded into the background. Last anyone heard, she was freelancing as a social media consultant in a small Jacksonville apartment, her name still tied to whispers of scandal online. She tried calling Jared once more, a year later, leaving a voicemail. "I'm trying to be better. I just needed you to know." He deleted it without responding. Not out of cruelty, but because her story no longer mattered. Jared's life was full now, designing pro bono projects, learning Elise's favorite flowers, planning to foster a child together. He became a man who could walk past a baby aisle without flinching, who could trust without checking phones. His revenge wasn't loud or vengeful. It was a life so rich, so grounded, that Lila's lies couldn't touch it. He woke each morning to Elise's quiet humming, tended his herbs, and built a future where betrayal was just a chapter, not the whole book.